Hey guys, welcome back to Militarum Gaming Studios. I'm Craig.
And I'm Connor.
And today we're going to do another 40k wide video for you guys. We're going to go over every codex, quickly, rapid fire style, and we're going to give you the strengths and weaknesses, just one or two, maybe three of them for every codex. So if you're new to the hobby, or you just kind of want a little bit more of an understanding of every other faction, maybe this will give you a little bit of an insight on it, just to give some variety out there. So if that sounds good, do like and subscribe to stay up to date on all of our content here at Militarum Gaming Studios. And if you want to help support the growth of this channel, we thank our members. You could become one. They are really what got us to the point where we are now, as well as all of you viewers for watching. So now, with all that out of the way, let's dive into today's video. Okay, so like we said, we are just gonna rapid fire these off. A little bit of talking, but if we spent more than 2 minutes on all of these, it would be well over an hour.
I've grouped certain armies down into one group to try to save time, and there's still 20 armies we need to go over.
So first off is Space Marines. Again, we're just gonna do Space Marines, not every individual faction, because it would take a while.
Yep.
So there's strengths. You wanna do those?
Sure. The strengths of the Space Marines is they're a jack of all trades.
Yep.
It's actually kind of also their weakness.
I was gonna say, it is their strength and their weakness. They can do everything well or decent, but they are not gonna compete if they try to go all in on one versus a faction that is good at that. So say they're Psychic Phase. They can have some good Psychers, they can't compete with Tyranids. They can have some good shooting, they can't compete with Tau. So jack of all trades, master of none, that's pretty much the Space Marines in a nutshell.
Great entryway into 40k though.
Absolutely. Easier to play.
Next up, I did have to give the Grey Knights their own slides. It's my favorite army, and they're unique enough where they warrant it.
Definitely.
So their big strength, as anyone who knows the game knows, they are Space Marines who all have psychic powers and power weapons.
Yeah. So every little guy is his own mini psyker. High damage potential on each individual model. Weakness, they do lack a lot of anti-tank weaponry. They have one key combo to drop. They could drop a knight very easy with it. But if that doesn't work, they struggle to take out a lot of high armor value targets. So.
Yeah, psychic power and a brotherhood and certain weapons.
So that's pretty much Grey Knights for you. A lot of psychic, not a lot of anti-tank.
The Imperial Guard, their strength, they do have a lot of strengths, not currently, but they will when the Codex comes out. They do have some of the best tanks, theoretically, in the game, and they have the largest volume of soldiers, the most amount of little guys. They might be really squishy, but...
Their little guys right now are in a great place because 6 is to hit out a wound, everything, and they all have lots of little shots. So this is a horde army, but it's an Imperial horde army, so it's different like that. They do lack durability. The tanks have some, but the infantry obviously lack durability, and they do not have really any close combat threats.
I would say, Ogryns are more just a shield. They're not even high damage.
Yeah, they're more of a, we're gonna absorb your combat threat, but if you have 2 of them, then they're screwed. So that's the guardsmen for you.
True. We got the Sisters of Battle. I do love the Sisters in the lore. Anyways, their strength is they have Space Marine weapons, basically, and they have such insane faith in the Emperor that they can perform miracles, as shown by miracle dice on tabletop. Yeah,
they do play a lot like Space Marines, but because of their weakness, they're only toughness 3, so they're less durable, so you have to be a little more careful with them. A lot of people favor the Bloody Rose, which is really a high damage, low durability glass hammer style.
Which makes sense since they're already kind of glass hammers.
They have got a bit of a buff with Armor of Contempt.
True.
They're a little more durable, but still they're a little bit more fragile on the power armor side of things.
True. Adeptus Custodes. This is like the reverse of Sisters of Battle, kind of.
Yeah,
in some ways. Their biggest strength is every single, not just unit actually, like I wrote here, every single model is extremely durable and extremely destructive.
Yes.
So
I mean,
there's no way around it.
It's like a whole army of Terminators.
Yeah, basically.
In a way. So yeah, high durability. They do, of course, when you play the elite army, every model is very expensive. So if you're not careful with your units and you don't properly trade with them, or you leave them out in the open and your opponent starts picking them off, your army depletes very fast. Yeah. They're also not the most mobile outside of their bikes and then their jetpack unit. They don't really have a ton of speed, so your opponent could potentially bog you down that way too.
Very true. Adeptus Mechanicus, Craig's secondary army.
Secondary?
I would say.
We'll call them secondary army, yeah.
Sure. The biggest strength is their basic troops have insane damage potential with the buffs that you can give them.
Yes.
You put a squad of 20 down and you throw all your buffs on them and they can melt stuff.
Yeah, they are really, they're one of the armies that relies on their core infantry more than any other, I would say. I mean, the reason into their weaknesses, so their first weakness is that their core infantry are really their only, or the troop infantry are almost the only things that have core. There are a few others. They're like the Electro Priests and the Rust Stalkers, not the big robots. There's a way to give them temporary core, but none of their big guns have core, which means if you want reliable shooting and rerolls, you have to focus everything on the infantry. Okay. And you can make those infantry really durable and really powerful, but it's all on just infantry. Okay. They also suffer from not having any psychic defense out of one Forge World, and that's just one stratagem to deny one psychic power a turn.
Not really worth it being your Forge World.
So if you go up against Thousand Suns or Tyranids or Grey Knights even, they're going to have a field day with you.
Yeah. Next up, Imperial Knights. Imperial Knights just had their book drop, and this all still pertains to them. Yeah. Every single model in an Imperial Knight army, even the armigers, is as powerful as a couple other units in a different army. So that kind of goes into the same as the weakness.
It is similar to playing Custodes, where you could, unless you play like mass Armiger Knights, mass Little Knights, you're gonna rock around with maybe 6 models.
6 or 7, yeah.
And every one you lose, I mean, there's a big chunk of your army.
It's a 1/7 of your damage.
It is, and with the big knights being Titans, they can't hide nearly as easily, so long-range anti-tank firepower can chew through them relatively quick. They don't have great saves.
And I was actually just thought of psychic defense too.
They don't have
not good psychic defense.
None at all there, or minimal.
Pretty minimal,
yeah. But great damage potential with the big knights.
They're fun to use on the tabletop
too. Definitely.
So Chaos Space Marines, what did we say for the...
Chaos Space Marines are a lot like regular Space Marines.
I guess.
They are more jack of all trades, but they can be a little bit more...
They've got more variance.
Because they can mix the Deamons and everything else with them without penalty.
Right.
I would still say they are more of a jack of all trades army. They're just the evil jack of all jack of all trades army.
Chaos jack of all trades.
Yeah.
That's true. They're basically the mirror of their Space Marine brothers.
Space Marines, so.
Yeah, and then their weakness?
Same thing, jack of all trades.
Yeah.
True. It's not as bad because again, I think you can tailor a little more towards one direction being better. Typically that's melee with chaos. They're a little bit better melee. They're a little bit worse at shooting.
And I did not give the World Eaters their own slide because their book is not out yet.
That even more. Yeah.
I mean, World Eaters are not going to be in this new codex, which is interesting.
I would say that Chaos Space Marines, their main weakness is their shooting's not great.
True, they just have regular old bolters. They don't even have the new Primaris bolters.
No.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll say that.
Lower shooting.
Oh, wrong direction. There we go.
Death Guard, a little more specialized chaos here.
Yes.
The Death Guard are definitely different enough to warrant their own slides. Their strength, they're extremely durable, especially with Armor of Contempt now.
Oh, I've played against Death Guard for the first time in recent time. They're durable. They have so many ways to bog you down and make you fight last.
Every unit's a tar pit.
Every unit can be a tar pit.
Yeah.
Which typically goes, the weakness of durable tar pits is low damage potential. Right. They fight by, outside of their few D6 damage weapons and stuff, they really fight by death from 1,000 cuts. All of their weapons are 1 damage for the most part.
They just want to outlast you though.
That is it, yes. And they're also slow.
Very slow.
Few units have decent speed, but
drones.
decent, but decent is like average for other armies.
True.
So yeah, you have to really make your presence on the board, and you're not going to be someone who's moving around the table too much.
You have to be concise with your movements, for
Yeah.
sure. So they're psychic, well, I guess they have psychic too, but the Thousand Suns, the super psychic Chaos Marines, their strength, they have, maybe besides Tyranids, they have the most insane psychic phase in the game.
I would argue that they have more psychic potential just because they have so many offensive powers.
Yeah, they have the most damaging psychic potential for sure. And their weakness?
Their weakness is that they do lack close combat. I mean,
They have Mauler Fiends, but
they have Mauler Fiends, and their Terminators are just damage one swings with a few attacks, but they don't want to be in combat. Again, one of the strengths maybe we should mention is that they're very durable to shooting and damage one weapons.
True.
They shrug off like nobody's business these days.
yeah, they're also very durable.
With Armor Contempt and All Is Dust.
Yeah.
But yes, they definitely don't want to be in melee. They want to be at range, 12, 24 inches away, firing off psychic powers and shooting.
And Infernal Bolters.
Yep.
Yeah. Chaos Demons. Their biggest strength, so there's, for those who don't know, there's 4 different Chaos Demon factions. But their biggest strength is, I guess,
the Greater Demons.
the Greater Demons.
I'd say their Greater Demons are their strength right now.
I would say speed too. I mean, most of them are pretty fast.
Most of them are fast. Really, right now the competitive lists are Slaanesh and Be'lakor.
Yeah.
And then maybe you mix in some other stuff.
Yeah.
But I would say Chaos Demons right now, they're thriving on the Greater Demons, the Exalted specifically, Exalted Greater Demons.
If you're watching in the future, their 9th edition book has not even been announced yet.
Not at all yet.
Yeah.
Their weakness is they're pretty frail.
Yeah.
Everything has a 5-up invuln save unless you're Tzeentch or you have some other random special rules. But pretty much you're taking everything on a 5. Your big guys, your big monsters, 5-up save. Your little tiny guys, 5-up save.
Some vehicles maybe have a 4 or no?
It's all 5-ups.
All 5
unless you're Tzeentch.
Wow, yeah.
There are some, you can give some of them 4-ups with like the exalted traits, but that's on the big ones. Yeah, so they are really
glass cannon.
They're very glass cannon. They're the original glass cannon of hitting hard, hitting fast, and if you don't kill your opponent, they're going to kill you just as easily.
Very true.
So that's the Demons.
Chaos Knights, I'll be honest, I copy and pasted the slide of the Imperial Knights.
They play exactly
It's the exact same. They're even more different now than ever from each other, but they do play the same.
They do.
So
you're rocking around with like seven models, and every time you lose a big one, it is a huge chunk of your army gone. So
they do look cool.
You got to be careful if you're on a bad board where you can't get to your opponent and they can see you or something. You're gonna struggle a bit.
Yeah.
But they're awesome looking.
They're really cool looking. We're now into the Eldari section.
Yes.
We've got Craftworlds. Their highest strength is, of course, mobility from basically all Eldari. And then Hail of Doom, as maybe you don't want to spoil that yet.
No spoilers.
Okay, never mind.
But Hail of Doom is nasty for any who don't know. It's right now probably, it is one of the best army special rules in the game.
It's a custom craft world,
custom craft world trait, yeah. And the high mobility with battle focus, they can treat all of they can advance and fire without penalty with assault weapons.
Oof.
So even their foot troops are moving 10 inches a turn and firing like normal.
Wow.
Their bikes can move 16 plus an auto advance of 6. You can still charge after that with strats and stuff.
Wow.
So yeah, really good mobility, really good shooting with Hail of Doom.
Cool.
Weakness is that if they are caught out in the open, they are pretty frail. They have a few strats that they can use to give them some invuln saves, but that's typically 1 unit per phase.
Right.
So if you leave too many units out in the open, they will die really quick.
Yeah.
So you got to hit hard and fast and not die.
Drukhari. Drukhari are a very weird one. They're kind of the oddball of the Eldar in a good way.
In a good way.
For them. Their biggest strengths, they actually have kind of 2 different types of units. The regular Drukhari units, I would say, excel in speed and high damage. But then they also have the homunculi units which are extremely durable. So they really do have the best of both worlds.
And they still have high damage. They're just not as fast.
Yeah.
And durability. And
they're so strong, just in general.
Like, yeah, we did our power creep video. Drukhari are still probably one of the most well-rounded armies.
Versatile.
They're not winning as much, but, you know, you can easily chalk that up to other things.
Yeah.
Their codex is still very powerful. Their only real weakness is they have 0 psychic defense, more or less.
Yeah.
They might have a little bit. I don't want to say
I bet there's an item or something.
absolute 0, but it's basically 0.
Yeah, true.
So that's a downside to the Drukhari.
Yeah.
And which is a good only downside to have, really.
True. It's kind of the reverse of the Drukhari now, the Harlequins. Their strength, I kind of had a hard time picking one strength and weakness for these ones, but fast movement and powerful abilities. That's strats, psychic abilities.
Yes.
The hollow belts that let them just phase over stuff.
Through thing. Yeah.
All kinds of cool gadgets and stuff.
A lot of auras of modifiers, negative modifiers to hit and wound and ranged reductions to them. It's the old Eldar trickery.
Yeah.
Weakness is that, again, like Eldar, if they are left out exposed, they die to a stiff breeze.
Yeah.
They have enough 5-up invuln, right? They still have the 5-up invuln.
They do.
But that's outside of their tricks, that's all that's keeping them alive.
Toughness 3.
Toughness 3.
Yeah.
So they die pretty quick.
We're into the Xenos part now.
Tyranids.
Towards the end. Craig, why don't you just take this one?
Yeah, so I think Tyranids have the most reliable psychic phase with the fact that they can chain their psychic power so you can stay out of deny range. You have your Neurothropes, which have +2 to cast, +2 to cast all their powers with a relic. And then you can pass those key buffs along through the synaptic chain. So most reliable. We'll see how the Maleceptor pans out. They can still do a lot of damage, but things might change.
Some rumors.
They have a lot of buffs, a lot of ways to give +1s to hit, reroll wounds, reroll hits, full rerolls, extra AP, a lot of layers of buffs that you can apply to core units. And currently, Tyranids still have a decent amount of core units that are both good and you commonly want to use them. So Raveners, Warriors, Carnifexes, Gaunts are all very commonly used. So
no rumors of losing core yet.
No.
As far as we know.
And a buff I like to say is for Tyranids, I think outside of Space Marines, they are one of the most diverse codexes.
Absolutely.
So you can play them in many, many different ways, all in one nice book.
Yeah.
Weakness, right now, I think the Gaunts are overpriced. So if you do want to play Swarm, it'll work, but it's not going to win you.
So weaker list.
It's a weaker list. It can be done, but it's not the same as playing other ones.
Yeah.
And then if you are not careful and you leave your Synapse creatures out and exposed, they're not crazy durable. They will die, and if your Synapse dies, your army falls apart very, very quick.
You lose your buffs.
Because all your buffs go down to short range,
Yeah.
you can't pass them on, and your Synapse comparatives fall apart as well. So
True.
those are the weaknesses there.
Sure. Gene Stealer Cult, another one of Craig's armies. We've got their strength being half their army can deep strike. I mean, literally, almost any list, half your army can deep strike.
Yeah.
They have enough units that can do it. They have high damage potential, and they have a ton of really theoretically powerful stratagems.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's always like every phase you got, and they're all 1 CP for the most part.
Yeah.
So you're always spending CP to do all your little tricks. You could look at that as a downside, as a lot of their tricks require CP.
I would say that's part of the fun, though.
It is, yeah.
Cool stuff.
But where the weakness comes in with the Gene Stealer Cult is, I guess it's the main thing is that they are not durable. They're like slightly tougher guardsmen or slightly tougher Gaunts when it comes to their durability.
Aren't they the same now as Gaunts?
The Neophytes are the
they're
same.
toughness 4 stuff, though.
But the Acolytes are toughness 4 now.
That's true.
So they're slightly tougher.
Yeah.
They will die very quick if they're left out in the open, like many of these fragile armies.
Yep.
But they also require luck and a pretty high skill cap. There are so many little, because they rely on crossfire, so which is like truly flanking your opponent, they actually get benefits from that.
Yeah.
Putting your charges in the right spots at the right time, not just going all in, really being a meticulous planner with your army,
Maybe the highest skill cap?
I would say absolutely.
Probably. Yeah.
They have the highest potential, highest skill cap, but it is really hard, and it's, I don't know, for me, it's hard on my brain to play more than one game of Gene Stealer Cult in a day, just because there's so many things you have to consider. And if one thing goes wrong, your strategy falls apart.
Can you imagine a 5-turn tournament of Gene Stealer?
I don't want to do it. Maybe
crazy.
I'll start with 3 and see if I'm still functional after the day, but
I respect it, whoever does.
5 would be impressive. I know there's people who probably do 8s, but gosh, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So that's the Gene Stealer Cult.
Necrons, my secondary boys. Their biggest strength. I've been feeling a little better about them lately with the points drops. It feels
definitely
a little more where they should be at. Reanimation protocols and mass healing. So yeah, it's not good for no prisoners, but in a game where it's going well with your healing and revives, you are not losing tons of stuff that you should be losing.
If your opponent can't focus fire down units, then you're just going to keep surviving. You're just going to outlast your opponent. I will also say, from the last buffs, you have a huge amount of core units to pick from now. So
I think it's like 14.
That's way more than any other armies. So you can theoretically play around with a lot of units in the buffs. Do all of them work? Not necessarily, but you have a lot of options there too.
Which we will be trying eventually over the next amount of years.
You want me to do the weakness?
Sure.
Biggest weakness that I see is that they're very not resilient to mortal wounds. They have a few items you can take here and there.
Couple.
But they're on units you don't normally take.
They're on spiders, which are not the best.
No. So mortal wounds can, in a good psychic phase, you can't stop your opponent from putting all their buffs on and things like that.
If you've watched this channel for a little bit, you've seen Craig's zone threats just annihilate some of my big infantry.
One after another, so that's a big thing. The other one you could argue as just a general thing is they are an older codex, so the power creep has got to them a little bit.
Them and Space Marines.
But that's them.
Orks.
Ooh.
We used Orks. Their strength, this is kind of a tough one for us.
This is a tough one. We don't know a lot about Orks. We've admitted that here before a lot.
We also know that they've been nerfed a lot. So when it comes down to it, the big general strength is they do have high toughness. They're all like toughness 5 or more. A high wound count on most stuff.
I mean,
besides boys.
The boys are still 1 wound. Some of them are 2 wounds.
Not beast snegas.
Beast snegas aren't 2 wounds?
No, they just have a 6 up in.
Oh, okay.
But besides their basic boys and beast snega boys.
They're orc. They're squig hogs. All their buggies are like 9 wounds apiece. They're big squig vehicles, and their battle wagons are all like 15, 16 wounds. So they
have a high toughness and wound count in general.
That's a bigger strength on them. The weakness with that is that they have limited armor. So while they have high toughness and wounds, they don't have armor to go with it. So you're typically chunking through it. You just take longer to chunk through it.
It's like a Pokemon with high HP and low defense. If you
there you go.
Pokemon.
There you go.
Anyways.
And another weakness that I've just kind of picked up from talking with Orc players is that their stratagems are all very expensive. At least the ones that you really are going to be regularly using are 2 CP at least. So doing that over and over again, you really chew through your CP faster than some other armies. So that's what we say about the Orcs. If you're an Orc player and you're watching this, let us know some other things.
I believe it's our last one.
I think this is the last one.
Tau, last of the Xenos. Tau. One of the most simple ones for us to do.
Pretty straightforward. The
most guns, biggest guns, best shooting phase.
That's it.
There's really not too much else to it.
If you want an army that sits and shoots, or even has mobility and shoots and nothing more, then look towards the Tau.
If you like mechs also. Cool mechs.
Cool mechs, very cool mechs. A lot of shooting, so all of their guns are good. I mean, some of them are better than others, but still, they're all good. All of them carry lots of guns. And they hit hard. They have lots of rerolls, bonuses, all sorts of things. Downside, as why Tau are so good at shooting, is they have no psychic defense, no psychic offense, and almost no combat potential.
Besides the new Tau Commander, who you can make good.
Yeah, Onager Gauntlet.
Besides him.
And Kroot.
But Kroot don't even really hit.
They got like 2 attacks apiece at strength 4, AP -1.
I know.
That's better than all the other Tau.
Used to be, yeah, that's true.
But we're not saying they're not going to go toe to toe with like striking scorpions or Tyranid warriors or anything. But
stuff.
That's it. They really just have those things for combat threats.
If you love laser guns,
that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Tau have always notoriously been one of the hardest ones to balance because it's where do you put an army that only participates in like a third of the game?
Yeah.
They can't psychic, they can't melee, they don't charge.
Yeah, maybe like half the game.
Yeah,
movement and shooting.
Moving, advancing, which is still the movement phase.
Yeah.
Command phase, shooting phase. Yeah, that's about it. So that is it.
Yeah.
I don't know how long that took.
Not too bad.
That was us rapid firing off. If you like these sorts of videos, let us know in the comments if you have other ideas you want us to do on top of this. We're trying to branch a little bit out and try some other things other than just straight Tyranids.
Yeah.
But Tyranids are still coming. And then, yeah, that's all we got. Great, awesome. Thank you, members, for supporting us. Thank you all for watching. Leave a like, leave a subscribe, and we'll catch you next time here at Maelstrom Gaming Studios.
Thanks, you guys.